9-1 samples and surveys. I can identify sampling methods and recognize bias.
Good. Now, the vocab for this lesson, thanks Natalie, by the way. The vocab for this lesson is probably the most important part of the lesson until we get down to like analyzing the bias. Population, sample, random sample, just like what it sounds. Systematic sample gets a little bit more complicated, but there's a system in place or a formula used. Stratified, you need to know stratified. That's a tricky word. I'm pretty sure none of you came in with an understanding of what a stratified sample was. Random people from random groups. Random. Convenience, think about the word convenience and what it means. Voluntary, same thing. Think about the word voluntary. And then a bias sample. We'll talk a little bit more down here in the next section. Analyzing samples. So I gave you two scenarios. The first one was a music store manager asked customers who made a purchase how many hours of music they listened to each week. We identified three different things. A, the population, B, the sample, and C, the possible bias. Population, everybody?
The people at the
store.
Customers at the store. And then the sample?
Customers made a purchase.
Customers made a purchase. And then we were asked to list a possible bias. And the possible bias says, since they're in a music store, they are going to listen to more music. We said would maybe be one possible bias. What else could be a bias beyond that? Think about the sample people. What else could be a bias? Who did the person ask?
We only asked the people making the purchase, they would ask it in general.
So could that be an issue?
Yeah.
Yeah, if they're asking people who made a purchase, they're probably going to go home and listen to that music, or they're probably the ones who listen to more music than those who are just like the general, not so dedicated music listeners, if that makes sense. So I think this might be one of our most important cheat sheets of the year. We said that a sample must match the population to avoid a biased set of results. Does the population and sample match up? Do customers at the store match up with customers making a purchase?
Yes.
They do?
No.
Isn't this a much narrower group of people? Because there are people that go to a store and don't make a purchase, right? Okay, so second scenario, because I think we really need to look at these. Student councils asking about a mascot, and they only ask 6th grade students, so we know the population would actually be all the students at the school because it's a school mascot, right?
Yeah.
They only ask 6th graders, and the possible bias would be they are only asking
1 of 7
1 of 7 grades. Okay, so if you compare the sample and the population, you may find a bias. The goal is to have a non-biased or an unbiased sample or an unbiased survey. So the sample and the population should match. Questions?